All right. And all right, hold on. Error occurred. Hold on. Just go live, whatever. All right. And we are alive, hopefully. Aaron the dog here for UFC 303. Alex Pereira, Jiří Procházka, too. Sure, why not? International Fight Week, just like they drew it up. The return of Conor McGregor and everything else on the card we're looking forward to here. Oh, wait, I'm finding out Conor's not going to be on the card. That's okay. I don't care. Anyways, what I do care about is the three people who are with me on this panel. The best panel on any MMA breakdown show on the interweb. So it's like 7 billion shows at this point. So I would put us up against any of them. With me, showing up first tonight, he drew the short straw. Lucky Locks, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk about some fights. We got a really good card, I think. Broke even last week, went 1-1. Got some bets for this week as well. Got some bets on some other promotions that I'll shout out at the end of the show. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you as always for being here. Good to have you for another pay-per-view and a very competitive one. And I'm excited to break it down. Next up, with me in his 2016 Euro kit, I believe is the term. The desk of Betya. How you doing?
Doing good. Had a very exciting, nice day. Needed that. Now we're going to carry that momentum into Saturday. Great card. Great card. Remember this card sucked like weeks ago? Now it's awesome.
Yeah.
This card was very especially the main card. Now it's like, oh shit, this is great. Really fun fights to talk about all week with a bunch of different people. Like, I'm super excited about it. And yeah, it's time to make all the money on this card.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to chopping with you as always. I have a lot of dogs on this card for sure, so I'm very excited to see where we agree and don't agree. One person who I know I will have some disagreements with on this card early and often. We're done with our agreeing ways from last week. Just my 2 cents, but we did pretty well agreeing last week. How you doing?
What's up, buddy? First and foremost, as always, thank you for having me. This is one of the highlights of my week. I always say that, but it is because it is so fun. Yeah, we will be dueling to the death this week, sir. But shout out to you, Louis and Lucky, and everyone in the chat. What's up, Mushroom? I see you in there. Y'all smash the like button for Aaron. And yeah, man, it's UFC 303. Pretty fucking excited about it, dude. Had a great week last week, and a big part of it was the Zhang. I hope to cash the Zhang Li once again. Let's make it 2 weeks in a row. So I'm very excited to see what that ends up being. And yeah, man, it's a big card even without the notorious one. So very happy to be here with y'all.
Yeah, no, shout out to Zhang Li, number 5 on the year. It's been profitable since number 3, saying thanks to Ayman Zahabi. So if you're not betting it, that's okay. And then, yeah, you can hawk to that like button if you want. Shout out to Noah. Let's go ahead and jump into this. And kind of surprised that this is the bout order, but it is what it is. Kind of a weird curtain jerker for me, but Ricky Simone, Vinicius Oliveira, Lock Dog, and Ricky Simone still with no nickname and still fighting on the curtain jerker of a UFC card. So that, I think, kind of is an interesting aspect of this fight. I think this is a really good fight for sure. If you're going to guarantee me Ricky goes out there and, just kind of wrestles throughout, I think I still don't necessarily agree with this line, to be honest with you. Vinicius Oliveira, he's still relatively untested within, like the wrestling game. One of the only fights he had, there's not any tape on against a wrestler. He went to a decision against the Sultan fighter over in UAE. But I mean, he did, have moments he had to defensively wrestle. Against Sopaj, I get it was short notice, but definitely a very different opponent than he was preparing for. And he did get taken down at times, but I also think that I do think that Vinicius has just some significant advantages in the speed and the striking where Ricky has shown he's willing to go in a fight for too long. And honestly, I think that Vinicius by KO is very live here. I played his money line at plus 200. And there are a lot of unknowns that I'm betting on here. I get the last two for Ricky have been against much better level of competition. Those guys would smoke Vinicius Oliveira, blah, blah, blah. I still just kind of don't trust Ricky to fight the fight that he needs to here. I get 0-2. His back's against the wall if he loses this fight. But I'm going with the newer guy. I'm going with the faster, much better striker in Vinicius Oliveira. So plus 200. I took it. I do think he can win a decision also, but I'm hoping for the KO. Lucky, how do you feel about this fight?
Yeah, I think it's a really fun fight to start the card. I kind of thought I'd have a lot to say about this one, but I really don't. I think that Ricky Simone probably wins. I think he can utilize that wrestling. I think that Sopai kind of showed that can be done. Definitely shouldn't stand up with Vinicius, but I do think it's a pretty big step up for Oliveira and kind of a step down for Simone. Oliveira is good, though. Like, I really like him. I think he's super exciting. I want him to win here. I would love to see that. I got no action, so not going to be upset in the least if he knocks this guy out. Definitely could knock him out because, like you alluded to, Ricky Simone is no stranger to kind of fooling around in the pocket when he really shouldn't be. So I guess I think that, there definitely is that path for Simone to get in and get the takedown and do that. It's a matter of, is he going to do it? And, at this number, I'm not willing to back him to do it, but I think I have to favor him in this opening fight.
Yeah, no, I understand being a favorite. I just, I guess he's favored by about the same line he was against Batista. So it's not insane, but yeah, I'm taking a shot. 2 cents. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's no secret. You already kind of set me up pretty nice for it. I'm on the other side here, and I have Ricky in a 3-leg parlay that's pretty much like, I think these guys are like I'll go ahead and say kind of like way better fighter. Like, I think Vinicius could knock him out, but I think just skill for skill, Ricky Simone's a better fighter. Obviously, face a better level of competition. And I think Sopai is a good fighter, but he's kind of a greenhorn. Ricky Simone, you can say a lot about him, but he's definitely got a good bit of UFC experience by now. And I think that he can win by knockout too, man. I don't think he has to fucking wrestle here, dude. Vinicius has been knocked out 3 times by not the level of competition that Ricky Simone is. So he is not pillow fisted, man. So yeah, he's kind of a dumbass sometimes on the feet, but I think he could actually win a fucking phone booth fight here. It wouldn't totally shock me, but yeah, if he gets hurt or buzzed, he's going to go to the wrestling. He might fucking be a rat.
You don't know he's going to go to wrestling because does he survive in that phone booth, which he's going to end up in? And I hope he's just as fine as you are with him going to that phone booth. That's why I hope at plus 200.
I get it, but
best striker Ricky Simone has beaten was Montel Jordan or Jackson, whatever his name is.
Yeah, and probably who's the best striker that fucking Vinicius has knocked out? An unproven greenhorn that got
Simone's not a striker.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I think Vinicius is being a little overrated here. I think he's being a little overhyped, and I think Ricky Simone fucking fraud checks him pretty clearly.
Overhyped by who? Me? Lou.
Everyone that's fucking on Lock Dog's nuts this week. It's pretty fucking
that half of Pub Sports just sees a plus 200 and bets him. I can't help that. Lou.
Just real quick, because I saw something in the chat about this Hawk Tui thing. Can we just, for those of you, this is Iron Cheek stuff, and I hate that people are stealing it. And it's Hawk Tui, America, Petue. That's what it is.
Okay.
For all you uneducated. There's an interesting line on this fight because is it wide because it's a step down for Simone, or is it wide because of how Oliveira was getting controlled on the ground? That's the thing for me. I feel like Simone, he's one of these guys that, in theory, nice skill set, good grappler, good control, has all the tools. But then, he has a lot of fights that were really bad looks. Like the Song Yadong fight, man, was just, I know he has 2 takedowns in a 5-round fight, but that was a slaughter. And he was just getting hit and hit and hit and hit. And, you know, Yadong is not some like massive power puncher. I mean, if he's getting hit a tenth of those punches.
Dog isn't a power puncher. Dude, come on. That you don't even believe that yourself. You don't even fucking believe that yourself, Lou.
Oh yeah, Yadong's known for like all his one punch KOs. Come on, dude.
Like he doesn't hit hard. Give me a fucking break.
Compared to this guy. Compared to Oliveira.
Against who? Who is this motherfucker knocking out? Who?
Oh my God. It's the first
Sorry,
one.
I didn't realize Song Yadong talk here was gonna trigger you.
He's a way better fighter than this fucking jobber, man.
I never said better fighter. I said hits harder.
Okay, well, what's the awesome part of Song Yadong's skill set besides the striking and the fucking punching power? Give me a break.
Okay, guy. Okay, guy. God, guys gets on Pop Sports. He gets all fired up about the fucking first fight of the night.
I've always been like this since I've been on Aaron's channel, have I not?
I'm busting your balls.
You're a little bit more agitated right now than usual, but it's okay. That's fine. My internet's struggling, so that could be part of the issue here as we go.
Here's a prop that I like for this. Because I do like time props here, but I like fight to end in KO. I am with 2 cents on the Simone side because I do think he can get the grappling going, and he's very likely to get either a submission or a ground and pound because he's got way better positional control than Sapai does.
Yeah.
If he hangs around on the feet too long, he's not going to like how it goes. And Simone seems more willing now to exchange. I do favor Simone to win. I think Simone probably gets a knockout in the first 2 rounds. I'm going to go with a ground and pound knockout. Oliveira different life. So fight to end in KO is my preferred play, but I will lock up the panel and agree with the guy yelling at me 2-2 on the Simone side. Okay. Well, you could say that on your show, bud.
Okay. I will just say the last thing that I have to say on this fight is that that Ricky Simone, he should be favored. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. That in Vinicius,
I like how like Lou acts like I've never yelled at him before, and it's just now.
Who cares? I don't care. Like I don't care. Like Tommy Lee Jones, I don't care. My hands are up. This is the last thing I have to say about this fight, and then we're gonna move on. Vinicius Oliveira and Sapaj. I've heard this over and over again, and I get it. Sapaj is now he's not very good, not very experienced. Pretty short notice replacement, I believe, in that fight. I don't believe Vinicius Oliveira was even preparing for any sort of wrestler for that fight. So, the fact that he still went out there and finished the guy who in the 3rd round he should have finished, that's good enough for me. So I'm going with the unknown at plus 205 now. I missed the line, apparently. I thought plus 200 was good enough. Plus 205 minus 250 to Ricky. I do think somebody gets finished in this fight, though. So, we got a lot of stakes all of a sudden on this first fight. We're going to move on to fight number 2. And, this is going to be a good show. This is going to be less contentious, or maybe it won't. Who knows? Carlos Hernandez, Seruya. Tonight will be the night that we will die at 303, the first of 2 emo haircuts with here, taking on Carlos Hernandez, who they kind of just send in against, whoever they want to, and they'll just, kind of see how he does. Carlos Hernandez is not a bum at all. So, I do think that he can extend this fight, make this fight more of a stand-up battle. And if he does, kind of extend and test this younger fighter, wouldn't surprise me if he fraud checks him. There's no way at nearly minus 500 I want Seruya. He's obviously looked very impressive against guys like Mark Kilomako. Me and Lucky, we've been following Mark Kilomako for a while, and we know that he's in the Cody Davis camp of flyweight prospects that you can't mess with. So I'm just saying, Seruya, he's a fun toy. We've seen that twister, whatever thing he was doing to that poor soul he was facing, but Carlos Hernandez is going to make him, I think, work here. Just probably loses a decision, gets controlled by Seruya, but I think Seruya will kind of get a little more exposed here and will slow down on saying Tatsu Taira part 2 here so fast. So 2 cents. How's it going, buddy? You want to talk about this fight?
Yeah, dude, I'd love to. I'm good, man. I mean, you said it, like Seruya's probably going to win, but I want nothing to do with it. Like, it's way too chalky. Dude, I don't know. Like, I don't think this guy's Tatsuro Taira. He's probably not going to have to be. Everyone seems to kind of be on the, like, Seruya submission. I'm going to say he wins a decision. Might finish like Hernandez, but I don't know, man. I want nothing to do with it. Kind of just want to see what I got. Yeah, like you said, shiny new toy. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Okay. And I can't do that right now, Peter Pan, but good to see you here. You have much less to say this week when I hit the Zhang and don't go like 5 or 6 of my picks, but I'm glad you made it back. Lou, what's your thoughts on Carlos Hernandez Seruya?
Well, I hate to disappoint everybody in the chat, but 2 cents and I exactly agree on this one. I like the over 1.5. It was minus 135 on Fanatics yesterday, so I put a little bet on that. Seruya's striking, man, is very, very non-existent, and the only guy he fought with a pulse, Climaco, he did kind of get tired as the fight went on. I don't know, man. You could look at Hernandez and be like, he got run over by a couple of guys like Nascimento and Taira, but I just think Seruya, look, it's going to be a very simple game plan. Like, go in, get takedowns. I think Hernandez, at least, like, he's not going to be worried about any striking coming at him at all. He's going to try to maintain distance, try to at least keep this fight on the feet as long as possible. I don't know that Seruya is going to be able, if he gets a few tough takedown stuffed here, to maintain that pace as we get late in this fight. And that third round is going to get super dicey. I think Seruya does enough the first 2 rounds. I think he eventually gets takedowns at some points in these rounds, and I'm not sure Hernandez gets up. But I think he fights off submissions, and I think the over at least 1.5 here. I mean, you're just betting on him not to get immediately run over and sub. If he gets sub late, he gets sub late. But the 1.5 to me for a guy making his debut that really does not have striking is just, it's not for me. So I'll stick to my over 1.5. I do think he wins a decision. I think Hernandez round 3 at least might be worth an interesting sprinkle if Seruya tires. I mean, Climaco landed a nice head kick in that. So that's my prefer. I think Seruya does win decision, but over 1.5 is the play for me.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that at all. Lucky Locks, your thoughts on this fight? Your thoughts on Mark Kilomako?
Yeah, I think we've talked about Mark Climaco ad nauseum on
For
this channel,
years.
so I'll spare people that one for the millionth time. But Seruya, man, I think he's pretty good, and I think people are hesitant to come out and say that because he's from the road to the UFC, which doesn't have a great reputation for really providing very good fighters. But I think this guy's pretty good. And, more than that, I think Carlos Hernandez is just not that good. And I know people are like, oh, well, just really good guys that he lost to. He's had bad matchups, blah, blah, blah. I just think the guy's pretty mid. He's not really competitive in these matchups with these tougher guys. And he just hasn't shown me any reason that I think he's going to win this fight. Now, am I running to the window for minus 500 on Seruya? Obviously not. I'm not betting this fight. But, I think he wins. I don't think it's a particularly challenging matchup for him, to be completely honest.
Yeah, no, I think there's a reason it's at the line it's at. So not really any hot takes here. I do like the over 1.5, but it's at minus 170 at this point. So I think a lot of people like that initial line. So on to the next fight. I don't have anything to say about this fight here. I've looked all week for an angle that I could think about for Martin Booty to put him into the Zhang. I really have. And I still can't do it. Even if he's going to do what we all kind of just expect, which is just to smother Andre Arlovski and just kind of cage wrestle him, maybe even wrestle him to the ground once in a while. hit him on the head. Maybe Arlovski gives up his back and decides to just do one of those quick taps at some point, but probably not. Martin Booty by decision, but I'm not betting anything with this fight. I'm going to be cooking my steak during this fight. This is a steak fight. And Andrei Arlovski, please retire after this fight. Please, God. Lou.
Yeah, it's never a good sign when a guy fighting on this card is like less than a year younger than me. I mean, it's interesting to see what Bdet is going to look like coming off a pretty awful loss, an embarrassing loss. You wonder if that's going to make him maybe more willing to go for takedowns here. You feel like if he just clinched and went for a takedown, he could probably get Arlovski out of there fairly easily if he wanted, but he won't. And we've seen enough of Bdet to know he's going to fight a low pace. He's not going to throw a ton. He's going to be content to just wear on Arlovski. I mean, I don't want to bet this fight. I don't want to bet a time prop. Bdet has some finishing equity here, but it really depends on what style he wants to fight. Arlovski, the only equity he has is like hang in there and maybe win a split decision. But I'm going to pass completely. Hot take, I'll pick Bdet to just win a really ugly, low-volume, cage-controlled decision, and I'm just going to root for Arlovski.
Okay, yeah. Lucky?
Yeah, I mean, I think the sun is setting on Arlovski's career. I don't think that's any secret. He's lost 3 in a row. He's 45. And, I mean, half the fights that he won recently, he could have lost. Bdet, he's not horrible, like within the context of heavyweight, right? I've been pretty good historically on his fights. I haven't got one wrong yet from Contender Series. Obviously, I picked him to win against Bresky, which he won, but he didn't actually win. But I'm picking him here. Big shocker. I think people are almost giving Arlovski more of a chance than he deserves at this point, to be completely honest. And I know Bdet lost to Gaziev, and Gaziev got exposed by Rosenstrike, but I just don't know how relevant that is in this matchup. I mean, I feel pretty good about Budai's chances to beat Arlovski on Saturday. Not with any money behind that, but I don't know if at this point we're going to see Arlovski get another win in the UFC. I don't know if we really see him have another fight in the UFC. He could hang it up after this. I think 45 is just too old even for heavyweight.
Yeah. I just looked at the line really for the first time, to be honest here. I didn't realize it was this close. That's gross. 2 cents. I just assumed it was over minus 300.
I mean, what can I add that y'all haven't already said? If Budai wasn't like a tub of shit, I would probably be more confident in throwing him in a parlay. I think it's one of those fights where he's gonna be kind of getting like the Arlovski treatment that he was giving some of those other jobbers like a couple years ago, and then Budai is gonna just like desperately go for a takedown, get it, kind of like steal the round with some bullshit ground and pound and control, and like win a greasy split. I just think it's gonna go to a split. Budai probably wins. I guess I could see like if he gets him down and gets on top of him and like gets into a dominant position, Arlovski will probably give it up. But I don't fucking know, man. Just dies,
Yeah, no, he's still staying out of the Zhongli. He's not going to be in it. Minus 260, plus 210, the minus 195 on the over 2.5 for a heavyweight fight.
It just seems like there's better spots, and this seems like one of the shittier fights.
I don't know why this fight isn't before like the Fight Pass prelims.
Dude, seriously, you could easily make this the first fucking fight on the card, and no one would bat a fucking eyelash. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, Dana White, I'm surprised this isn't the co-main event because he loves his heavyweight bullshit fights. But
yeah. And then Raw Torque saying dog or pass here. Well, then pass. All right. Next fight. 115 strawweight fight. The obligatory. This is a Jillian Robertson channel. She is a friend and I'm always gonna give her a benefit of the doubt, but I also have picked against her on this channel plenty of times and been right each time I picked against her, unfortunately. And I feel this is a matchup where I'm very glad that some money came in on Michelle Waterson Gomez. I don't give her no chance of winning this fight at all. I think she can very well win this fight, but Jillian has more UFC fights. Jillian's coming down from flyweight where she routinely got finishes. Michelle Waterson, atom weight, that's fought at strawweight and done decently. I think that Michelle Waterson is definitely at a different point in her career than Jillian is. These are all kind of just things. I think Jillian very prepared for this camp. She's had no problems with her weight cut and all of that. So those are like the big concerns for me. And I think that she, against good strikers, she submits them. Against good grapplers, she can KO them. She's going to submit Michelle Waterson at some point in this fight. I think she's going to be a much bigger and stronger fighter here, and she'll control where the fight goes. So I've heard some people saying Michelle Waterson will use her wrestling in this fight, and I just don't see that really happening at all. So, Lucky, what's your thoughts on this one? I got her at minus 170, Jillian, in a pretty big wager, and she's obviously in the Zhongli as well. Lucky, I got her by submission.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say, neither one of these ladies are going to be, in the title picture at 115 at this point. Neither one really projects as like a major player for me in the division, but, we don't really care about that. We care about how they're going to project in this matchup against one another. And I just feel like in 2024, Julian Robertson projects quite a bit higher than Michelle Waterson. Granted, her striking isn't really that high level, not particularly dangerous. Waterson is better standing, but the good thing about Julian Robertson is she does have an elite skill set in the grappling, and that's what I expect her to employ to win here. I mean, Waterson's 1-6 in her last 7, and Robertson is big at 115. I think it is a really good weight class for her. I've liked the way she looks, especially with that grappling style at this weight class. And I mean, like Marina Rodriguez, who's a great fighter, but she was having success on the ground with Waterson. So I think Jillian Robertson's definitely going to be able to do that as well. And I think Robertson wins.
Yeah. 2 cents.
Oh man, this should be a coin flip fight, but I'm not going to do it. The pick is Jillian. I know this is a Jillian Robertson channel. I'm gonna stay on code. I'm gonna stay on code. I know she's probably in the Zhongli. I'm just gonna let it ride, but it won't totally stun me if Michelle Waterson wins a little fucking like Chun-Li decision, like just gay, like stays on the feet, little pity pat. Like she can do that, man. She can stay at range and win a kicking fight. But if Jillian gets a hold of her, if Jillian gets her to the ground, I mean, we know what fucking time it is. So that's what I'm gonna be hoping for. I think that probably happens because I think that's like Jillian's just gonna be pursuing that the whole time. And so yeah, let's go Jillian Robertson sub. But let's that's all I got. Let's go.
All right. Lou, I bet you.
So I'm going to ultimately not have a bet on this fight. When I looked at the line initially, I'm like, man, Jillian should run her over. Part of it, you guys, spoke a lot about like Waterson's career path here. I don't know what her motivation is. I mean, there's no title shot ever. Now it's just fighting out the contract, fighting to have fun, get paid. Jillian Robertson at least is trying to make a run, trying to improve, switch camps, whatever. Not for this fight, but was 3 fights ago she switched? And she changed weight. Like, that's somebody who's taken their path, like, seriously.
Definitely.
I don't know that Jillian's, like, wrestling and entries are great, but her top control is great. Waterson's going to just throw a lot of kicks, try to stay way away. I mean, Waterson needs this fight. That's got to be her strategy. This whole I'm going to grapple thing with Waterson should be an idiot. Like, her path is 15 minutes of staying on the outside. We saw Robertson struggle with like JJ Aldrich, but I just don't see it here because I feel like if Robertson just catches a kick or gets this against the cage, if she gets a takedown, that's the end of the round. I don't think Waterson gets up. Maybe even if she fends a few takedowns off, which I think is possible. I think once Jillian gets a takedown in a round, the round's done. So also, Jillian's faced people that have horrible takedown defense like Agapova and Cachoeira. I know she submitted Cachoeira 1 second left in the first, despite Cachoeira doing her best to get disqualified. But even against Agapova, who literally cannot defend shit on the ground. She took her time. Then made sure like her tongue was hanging out of her or whatever. That was weird, bad look in the end with the submission. But I think the 2-3 sub from Jillian to get a little better price is what you want here. I also think it might take her a while to kind of time the kicks, get in a range to get a takedown. I don't think Jillian gets a takedown the first 30 seconds and like just runs her over. I think Waterson keeps it at least weirdly boring for the first few minutes until Robertson can kind of at least bum rush in to get her against the cage to start working on a takedown or to, again, just catch a kick. So, yeah, Robertson 2-3 sub for me. But, I mean, she definitely has decision equity here, too. A lot of people think she's sub or bust. I don't think she's sub or bust. I think she could easily get 3 minutes of control time in a couple of rounds. Waterson could fight off subs. I think it's certainly possible. I also think a KO's possible if Jillian wants to take that route. It seems like if she just wants to get a KO, I mean, who is it, Viana?
Yeah.
The Viana fight?
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, she just fucking smashed her.
Something that she was just trying to get. She was like, "No, watch my striking." Like, you might have been on that KO prop too. I forget.
I was on that KO prop.
Like, I remember because it was like she's like, "Oh, she just wants to test out her striking in this fight." So I don't think that's completely off the table. The sub is most likely here. I think she knows, and she's the favorite here, so she knows that she's expected to come in and not have some close margins fight here. So I like Jillian. I might play the round 2, round 3 prop when FanDuel puts it out or Fanatics. But yeah, this is one I at first thought one thing and then I was like, does Waterson have Waterson has win equity here. Like, so I think the line is probably makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, either way, this is one of the biggest fights for her in her career in Jillian. So very excited for it. And I do have the bet on her single at -170. She's in the Zhongli as well. And I'll be playing her sub prop as well. So I don't think she's going to get a KO against Waterson, I'll be honest.
Get her done, Red. Come on. Do it for the boys.
Yeah, let's go, G. Next fight, speaking of G, Giannis Gamamori taking on Peyton Talbot in a very closely contested fight. This Peyton Talbot guy is very hyped up, very excited. He did demolish Cameron Simon. Have you heard how that knee sounded? If you haven't been on Twitter in a while, but he is very, very talented, very good grappler. His striking's obviously come along as well. Like very athletic, all the above. -1600 is insane. It's stupid. Doesn't make any sense at all. It really doesn't. Giannis is not absolute trash at all either. Like, I get it. He came in against William Gomez and made Gomez look lethal. So that's a niche. But it's like Gomez, he has decent kicks. He's not a bad striker. And Peyton Talbot, I mean, I think he's a much better grappler than his striker. The striking's coming along, obviously, but it'd be smart just to take him down and grapple him up. I got Peyton Talbot with Jillian and a parlay with Ireland and some random sport and a few other things in a parlay from a few weeks ago at -455. I think it's one of my best CLVs of all time because he's at -1600 now. So I guess my -455 was value, but I mean, I'll say Peyton Talbot by submission, but I mean, Giannis is not just complete ass. He might not be UFC quality, but yeah, this is kind of crazy. I don't know. 2 cents? Lou? I don't know. Lou, go.
Overs gang stand up, man. Over 1.5 for me at -130-ish. Oh, Jesus Christ. This thing it is not that now. Holy balls. This got steamed.
Yeah, it's -215.
Good grief. This was I looking at a different fight then?
It is not that one.
No, it was 135 on Monday. Oh boy, well, fuck that.
Well, make sure to put up your tweet on Friday about how you got 135.
I didn't. I thought it was 135. And it was 135, but I didn't get it. Yikes. So, yeah, Talbot, the only fight he's ever won in the first round or under 1.5 was the Simon fight. And why was that? Because Cameron Simon just does not care. He's reckless abandon, hands, not great striking defense. But more importantly, he just wants to bum rush and immediately throw down. Look, Gamorre's not going to win. I'm not going to make a case. But what's Gamorre going to do? He's either going to attempt to grapple or he's going to run for his life. Either way, he's going to try to stall out the clock. So this over 1.5 is not bettable anymore. But I think the KO over the sub. I'd go round 2, round 3 here with the KO. But what do I say about a guy who's minus 1,600?
Right. Yeah.
Ridiculous. Good CLV. If you got him early, that's awesome.
Minus 455. Let's go.
I mean, dude, and that's going to look like incredible value. He's going to cover that number, easily. He's going to cover minus 1,600 easily. So how about this? Instead of this, I'll give this advice instead. Don't play him in DraftKings. The little variety for the chat. He's 9,800. He's the most expensive guy, I think, ever in DraftKings, or since Amanda Nunes in her prime. Even with a round 1 KO, he can't really cover his salary. So 9,800, just lay off him in DraftKings in GPPs, play him in cash. That's fine. But there, I tried to make it at least more interesting than just saying this guy will win.
No, I appreciate it because I didn't have anything. So, Lucky, do you have anything interesting to say about a minus 1,600 favorite?
I mean, not really. Talbot should beat this guy easily. He is a really good fighter. UFC is going to slow build him with that, the O'Malley approach. The time to bet him was, the last fight against Simone. I bet him there at minus 120. A lot of people were saying how overrated he was, this and that. Now everybody wants to be on the train and say, oh, I knew it the whole time. This guy was going to be the GOAT. But yeah, I mean, it was super easy money in the last one. The price here is just kind of dumb. There's zero value on it. It's just the book saying, stop betting Peyton Talbot. We know, we get it. Just stop. Okay. We've written enough tickets on this guy. I kind of agree with Lua. I don't think the overs are the worst thing I've ever seen here. Although, Gamorre has been finishing both his losses late in the last one. But yeah, I just don't think Gamorre is really that good. And, I'm not going to be betting on this fight, just trying to throw something out there. But yeah, Talbot wins this one. Hot take.
Yeah, very scorching. 2 cents echo chamber on this, or are you going to have some balls and stand up for the Frenchie?
Dude, it's funny. For as much as I started out going fucking Rick Rude on Sting on fucking Lou, I'm agreeing a lot with him on this fucking card, dude. I think this is going to be I think it's going to go at least over 1.5. So I think it is a Peyton Talbot, late second round, third. Lou, was the line over 1.5 or over 2.5?
1.5. Am I Rick Rude or Sting, by the way? Because
since I fucking since I got triggered, I'd probably be Rick Rude in that situation. I don't know. What do you think? Damn. I mean, I know I hate to be dude, I'm Rick Rude. Yeah, obviously, probably whatever. I'll be Sting. Yeah, but yeah, give me Peyton Talbot by yeah, I'll say Gamorre is a rat. I'll say it's a combination of both, being fucking scared and trying to grapple. So it'll be he'll try and cage push Talbot, and then Talbot will eventually just be all right, enough of this.
He's not gonna cage push Talbot.
I don't fucking know, dude. I'm just trying to fucking think of something not
he's gonna run. He's gonna get as many steps in as possible. It's gonna be kick, punch, run, kick, punch, run.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
he's going to be sprinting.
Sure, he'll do that for 7.5, 8 minutes, and then just get smoked.
And then, Talbot featured champ.
So it was at midnight tonight. It was minus 150. So whatever it came in today.
Yep. But
I'm looking at it on fight odds right now, and it says minus 150.
We're gonna move on to the next fight here, but definitely an interesting prelim here, and I think this is one of the fights that I'll either feel really smart or really dumb on Sunday about. Charles Jourdain taking on Jean Silva here. Just, kind of crazy that Charles Jourdain's still only 28 years old. Seems like he should be well into his 30s at this point, but still, kind of 15-7. His last 3 have been definitely pretty frustrating. The Sean Woodson fight coming up on the short end of that split decision. Just kind of the decision making of Charles Jourdain is why he's 15-7-1 and never really been near contention of any sort and facing guys like Jean Silva. Jean Silva, to me, he's all right. He's a very dangerous guy, but his last fight was against Weston Wilson. And his fight on the Contender Series was against a guy who I felt like he should have been able to finish and went to a decision here. I just think that this is like a levels fight to me, and I don't understand this line where it's at. I think it's absolutely wrong. And I bet Charles Jourdain straight at -120. I do think he has got finishing equity here. I just think he's just way better than Silva, and I think at 28 years old, I'm not ready to say Charles Jourdain is done by any stretch. I think the Woodson fight just overall just was IQ and decision making. That's why he lost the fight. I don't think he has that problem against Silva, who's a pretty low IQ brawling type of fighter. I'm just not that impressed by what I've seen from Silva. So might look really dumb, might look really smart, but I'm all over Charles Jourdain, second Canadian in the parlay of Zhang Lucky Locks. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm a little bit kind of off the Jourdain train now. Not that I was ever really a huge believer. I just don't think he really, has the stuff to be a serious contender at 145 in the UFC. I mean, I know Silva's beaten kind of a big train of nobodies. His Contender Series opponent was pretty decent, though, actually. Probably better than his UFC win. I just think he comes out and wins here. Both these guys can strike. Both these guys can go at a good pace. I like the hardware a little bit better on Silva in a fight where they're probably going to brawl it out. I'm just going to need to see a new kind of reinvented version of Charles Jourdain before I pick him as a fair, although it's kind of a pick him now, against guys who are, I think are showing a little bit of promise, a little bit of that spark as a prospect, because I just think it's kind of been proven that Jourdain just doesn't have that type of a ceiling, which, obviously doesn't substantiate a claim that Silva does, but, he might. And I think he could stick around in the UFC maybe for more than just a cup of coffee. This is a good spot to find out. And, as an underdog-ish, I mean, I guess that'll be good enough for me to go his way. I'm not going to pay to find out here. I'm not interested in betting. You got Jourdain. I'm happy to root for you. I hope he wins. Just my thoughts on the fight. Not going to be betting it. I think it's going to be a really fun one. Looking forward to watching.
Yeah, this is a Silva fade as much as it is a Jourdain bet. I'll be honest. 2 cents.
What you said, Aaron. Since there's 4 of us, I'll keep it short and sweet. I think it's a levels fight, and Jourdain whoops up on him. I won't say like smokes him in the sense that it's like immediately, first round, but I'll say Jean Silva gives a good account of himself in the first. Maybe even buzzes Jourdain, but I'll say Charles, he come on in the second round, and ends up putting on a classic like Jourdain build.
Yeah, it's going to be like Jourdain. Is he back? No, it's he's facing a guy like John Silva.
Exactly, dude. And I think this is totally the level of fighter that he fucking beats. So I think because of if there is a theme now on the card, it's like, there's a few Canadians on it, and I think they're giving Jourdain kind of not a layup, but like a spot to look good in.
I agree. Lou, how you feel about this one?
Jourdain is an idiot. So I never would like to back Jourdain pre-fight. I think if you like him, I think a live entry. I mean, I think he probably wins round 3 at a decently high clip here. So live entry on Jourdain for me. I don't hate. I saw Peter Pan in the chat said Silva sub. I'm going to play a variation of that. I think either guy to win by sub is kind of an interesting way to play this. Because you get 2 guys that like act like they want to strike and we're going to put on this exciting thing. Dude, Jourdain's shown that he's willing to grapple when you think he's going to strike. He's the most unpredictable idiot like in this league. And I could see Silva being all right, being on the ground with him. Like Jourdain's got a really good guillotine. Silva's got good chokes. Like I could absolutely, and Jourdain is really good at putting himself in horrible spots. So I think either fighter to win by sub is going to be a nice price here. I'd live bet Jourdain. I'm going to pick Silva just to be different. I understand what you guys are saying. It's a big levels difference, and I get that. I just cannot back this guy with a 9 fight IQ, like, ever. I can't.
No, that's totally fair. You know, and minus
But the
120.
price is good for him. It should probably be minus 180. Like, so
Right. Yeah, so I'm gambling on the IQ of Jourdain, and he is in the Zhang. So you guys get to have a little action on Charles Jourdain as well. We will move on, but it seems like most of the chat is on Silva. So good for you guys. We shall see. I like Charles, and especially at that price. Next fight, second from the top, from the featured prelim, the co-featured prelim, we'll call it. Cub Swanson versus Andre Fili. This is a fight I honestly need some help with, because I just don't get why we should trust Andre Fili this heavily, even against a soon-to-be retired Cub Swanson. I mean, like, Andre Fili, I think in this spot, to fully trust him, like, you're trusting him to wrestle pretty routinely in this spot, I would think. Otherwise, like, I feel like on the feet, this is relatively still close. I get it. Cub Swanson's lost a step or two, but he's still, you know, I think he's still able to kind of hang in there with someone like Andre Fili and get one more to hang up the gloves in the middle of the octagon. I think we're going to see like 2 or 3 retirements on this card. And like, it's like the decision went over Hakeem Dawodu. That says more about Hakeem Dawodu than it does about Cub Swanson. But it's still like, I mean, what would we line Hakeem Dawodu against Andre Fili? Like, that'd probably be close to a pick'em, I would think, or something. You know, like, either way, I can't trust Cub here, but I also don't want to bet Andre Fili either. I'm going to take Andre Fili by decision here, but like, probably one of my most unconfident like picks on the card, if I'm being honest. So take Andre Fili by decision. I think he will wrestle. He's got to know that's what he's got to do here. But Cub's just fighting this fight so he can put his gloves in the octagon, I think. So, Lou.
I mean, the only hesitation I have here is like Fili's coming off being deaded, and it's within 6 months, and I never really like taking a guy. But it's not like Swanson is some elite headhunter with power. You know, I mean, I know power is the last thing to go when you get to this age, and you know, he could absolutely knock Fili out here. I disagree with you on the one thing. I like the under here because I do think Swanson has a puncher's chance. Again, because Fili coming off like a pretty recent knockout and a bad knockout. But I think Fili has a couple of paths here. And honestly, if we think this is Swanson's retirement fight, and it probably is.
They have the highlight reel all queued up already.
And here's the thing. So let's say Fili grapples. Is Swanson going to fight off a sub for 3 minutes? Like, is he going to do what Algeo did, just fighting off submissions for? I don't think so, dude. I think this could be like, if Fili gets close to a choke, it's done, end the career. Let's get out of here. I mean, it's not like and this is not like I'm not denigrating Cub Swanson. Like, love this guy from like WEC days, man. But at this point, you know, he knows, like, what's his motivation? Like, he's fighting the fight. I agree with you. I think he's going to retire. Does he really want to fight off? Like, what if he's getting ground and pounded for like 3 or 4 minutes? Like, you get a corner stoppage, dude. Like, I just don't think it's going to be worth it if he's taking a lot of damage. But I think he has KO potential here because I don't trust Fili's striking defense. And I certainly don't like the short turnaround on an absolutely awful KO where basically he said, oh, I can easily beat Ige. I've sparred with him. And then he just was like, okay. Easy. So, I think if you like Cub, you probably got to go round 1 KO. His KO number is terrible. It's like 400 or 500. But round 1 KO is 10-1. I mean, Guido Canetti did it, and he was like 90. Why can't a 40-year-old do it? And that was 10-1 for Guido Canetti, too. Trust me, I remember. That's one of my fondest bets ever.
How old is Guido Canetti today? Like 58?
No, he was 58 like 20 years ago, dude. He's up. He's been 40 for like 20 years. But I mean, why can't Swanson tag him? If Fili just wants to fuck around, like in the pocket and be like, okay, like to your point, Fili absolutely could wrestle here and he would have a lot of success. I know Cub's got jiu-jitsu, but like he's never been a submission threat. He never tries to use it. Like, and not only that, but like at this point in his career, does he really want to exert the energy? He's not going to grapple for 15 minutes. Fili could sap his will just by like taking him down a couple of times. So Fili probably finishes him. I mean, the money line, it looks wide when you look at it like just kind of in a vacuum, but but you play the money line's wide because of Swanson's situation. But I think this fight goes under. I think Cubs live for the KO, but most likely Fili either ground and pounds him or gets a submission.
Fair enough. Lucky, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, Cub Swanson's 40, so obviously that's a bit concerning. But, you know, he managed to get a win over Hakeem Dawodu his last fight. He pretty much robbed him, but the fact that he was able to fight close enough to get the robbery is honestly encouraging within the context of this matchup. And Fili's been petering out a little bit in his career as well at 34. Believe it or not, Cub Swanson has the better record over the last 5 than Fili does. And, you know, both these guys starting to suffer a little bit in the durability. Fili was just knocked out 4 months ago, which is a concern for me. He's been KO'd 2 times in his last 3 losses. Swanson also been losing on strikes lately too, but, you know, it was the leg kicks against Martinez. It was a body kick against Chikadze. And, you know, other than that, he's never actually been finished by strikes in the UFC, never been chinned in the organization. Got to go back to, I think it was Jose Aldo, smoked him in like under 10 seconds in WEC. And, you know, like if Fili doesn't get that round 1 knockout, usually finds himself in a pretty close fight with thin margins. Sometimes nowadays he's knocked out himself, but I don't know, like, is it insane to suggest that maybe Cub Swanson's slightly better striker here? I mean, Fili's the bigger guy. He's got an advantage in both the height and the reach. He's the younger guy. Get why he's the favorite for sure. Line just seems a little bit too wide for me. You know, I think Swanson's a bigger dog here than he was against Chikadze, bigger dog here than he was against Martinez. I think it's a dog or pass spot in this fight. You know, Swanson just shouldn't be this big of an underdog, in my opinion, despite the obvious concerns.
Yeah, plus 200. I agree. Minus 245, dog or pass. Agree, but I do think Fili by decision for me. I just don't trust that. I feel like this could be one of those fights where like there's like a lot of mutual respect between the two fighters, and it being like his last fight, he almost steps off. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that, but I don't know. But staying away from it, I agree. Stay away from fight. I agree with you, Alex, completely. Moving on to the featured prelim, Joe Pyfer versus Marc-Andre Barrio on UFC 303. This is International Fight Week at its finest. Will it be my 3rd Canadian in the parlay, the Zhongli parlay, and Marc-Andre Barrio? No, it won't. Marc-Andre Barrio, I think, is getting hurt very early and very hard by Joe Pyfer. Square play for me, but honestly, this is a fight that I'm, you know, kind of interested if it does get further on and, you know, is a potential live bet spot for Marc-Andre. If, you know, even if he takes a beating after that first round, because I just kind of, as the fight gets extended for Joe Pyfer, I'm not completely, you know, sold that, you know, he has those, you know, kind of ability to not be just a hammer, basically. So I would say Marc-Andre Barrio, you could possibly live bet, but Joe Pyfer's, it's not going to matter because it's going to be done within 3 minutes, I think. I think Joe Pyfer's going to punch a hole through his chest, as Ray Longo says. KO Joe Pyfer round 1. But I do think Marc-Andre has a route to the win, and this line is a little bit scary after round 1. So, Lou.
No, Pyfer's going to kick this fucking dude's ass, and he's going to do it probably in the first 7.5 minutes of this fight. Barrio, man, there's fights where, like, I love taking Barrio, like the Marquez fight, because Marquez doesn't really, you know, like, anybody that's going to be vulnerable to getting hit in the body is a guy I want to bet against Barrio, or the clinch where Barrio can just, like, literally drain their energy. But even in that Marquez fight, dude, he's getting lit up early. Like, It was a bad look early, and then Marquez just totally faded. I think Pyfer coming off, like, a nice 5-round experience fight with Hermanson, that's good for him. Look, I know you never want to lose a fight. I get it. But, like, sometimes getting that loss out in the UFC to a guy that's historically underrated by the market in Jack Hermanson There's really no shame in that. And he won the first 2 rounds. It started turning around and in the second round, like early third. If this was a 5-round fight, maybe my bet's a little different. I mean, Bario in the 5-round fight doesn't sound like a lot of fun, to be honest. But I think Pfeiffer fucks him up. I think even in the clinch, he's probably stronger. I don't think Bario can do his usual bullying. And there's no reason Pfeiffer can't just spike this dude on the ground. He doesn't have the wrestling like Fluffy, but he's strong as shit. And I do think he can like just keep taking Bario down if he really wants to. I think he can mix it up. I think this is a good get right spot for Joe Pfeiffer. I mean, I'm gonna play him round 1, round 2 KO. I think the sub's possible, but I think it's more than likely Pfeiffer just absolutely just starts cracking him in the first and compromises himself. I mean, Pfeiffer to win KO first 10 minutes of this fight.
All right, I'm sold on that. Lucky.
Yeah, I think Pfeiffer got a serious bump in perceived ability after the Contender Series. It got people thinking that he was someone that he's not. You know, like going back to the regionals, this guy never had to fight anybody of any substance. Like this guy lost to Jonathan Patti, right? Like he won his second Contender Series fight, and because the card was so boring before his fight, and because Dana brought Lorenzo Fertitta, I believe, there, and was so mad that nobody else got a finish, he got the big speech from Dana, you know, got matched up extremely favorably in his initial UFC run. Now, don't get me wrong, put on great performances, got shown the levels against, you know, Hermanson a little bit, and now Bario is a sincere step down from the Joker, but he's probably the next best opponent Piper's ever fought. And, you know, we're not back down to the level of guys that he's just going to bully around, in my opinion. Bario fights at a really high pace, typically much higher than Piper has demonstrated in his UFC tenure. He has the experience. I mean, it's not like Piper's going to be showing anything he hasn't seen. He doesn't really have, you know, Piper doesn't really have a dynamic or a confounding style, in my opinion. I think he's pretty basic. Does a good job with it, but, you know, it's not really that multifaceted. Now, Bario does not have any, you know, wow factor wins. Pfeiffer hasn't really beaten anyone I think is better than Bario. You know, I don't think there's necessarily proof of concept that he can beat somebody at this level. You know, Razak, GM3, Amandovsky are pretty burnt, in my opinion. So Joe Pfeiffer minus 300 just seems kind of dumb to me. I just can't really see how he looks 75% here. I think probably dogger pass, but, you know, here comes the but. With all that said, this is a pretty good style matchup for Marc-Andre Barrio, man. I mean, this isn't like a guy that I think's really, you know, going to give him a super hard time. I don't think it's minus 300 by any means, but I think it's a matchup that it doesn't present him with too much difficulty that he can't overcome it. So I think he's going to win. I just think the price is kind of dumb here. I think he's getting this price because of the B Joe Pfeiffer thing, not because he's actually minus 300 better than Bario. But yeah, I think he wins. So
yeah, very good presentation though on why he shouldn't be minus 300. But this is the beauty of the Zhongli, is it doesn't care about a money line. If it is a participant to get us over that plus 1,000, we will take it. And 2 cents. Go ahead and complete us here. Joe Pfeiffer.
So to go back real quick on the fight before, I'm going to go with Cub Swanson. I think
my bad, dude.
It's all good. So I agree with what Lucky was saying. I think Swanson's the better striker. It's not a bet. It's very low confidence, but yeah, it's definitely dogger pass. But
I'm so sorry about that 2 cents.
It's cool. I just want to get it on the record officially. On Wednesday. So yeah, I'm going to go with Swanson, but yeah, very, very low confidence. But with this one, yeah, I get it. Like Bario, he's like what Lucky was saying. He's certainly one of the better strikers that Joe's fought, but he always has to weather a storm to like win like a war of attrition. And I'm with Sting here. I think he dirt McGurts him within the first like round and a half, or like what you said, punches. He's gonna punch a fucking hole through his chest. So, yeah, I think Pfeiffer does a little clock cleaning, but yeah, it would have totally stunned me if Bario does happen to weather the storm. Like no, but probably not. Like it seems like a Pfeiffer get right spot.
Yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't stun me either, but yeah, and Mick making it to the late show tonight, a rare Mick appearance past 10 p.m. So great to see that. And I mean, again, Bario coming off of a split decision against Chris Curtis, who is Lou's a big fan of. So Lou, you have anything to say about Chris Curtis? No.
I mean, it's Hawk Tui week, so like, don't make me go full Iron Cheek on like Lucky doesn't even know my hatred of Chris Curtis. That's for another time. When's he fighting again?
I'm not sure. He's recovering from knee surgery right now, so I hope he gets back.
You know what? Good.
Okay. Moving on to the main card. Opening of the main card. Really, really good fight, an exciting fight to me because I feel that Michael Page has just a significant mental advantage in this fight. I do not trust Ian Gary in this spot to kind of come out here and show why he's been kind of hyped up and prospected up as he has. I think this is a fight that he's gonna kind of make closer than it needs to. I do think he definitely has a path to win, and I would like to see him use more of his grappling in this spot, but I kind of don't trust he will. And I think that he's going to kind of go, just in the stand of, I think this goes the distance. I don't think either one of these guys gets a finish on the other. And I like MVP to get the decision win here. I think it's going to be a 29-28, very close type of fight. I do think that I think that Gary can possibly use a little more, kind of cage control wrestling at times and make this fight a lot easier on himself than he can. But I think that Michael Page is going to be in his head a little bit. I think it will kind of continue through this fight. And I'm not trying to look too far into like interviews, but there just seems to be a lack of motivation for me and Gary's side in this fight, and kind of in a way that I don't think is, I think it's the same kind of way that MVP was able to get away with a lot against Kevin Holland, where I don't think Kevin Holland respected his opponent very much at all. And I'm not sure Gary does either. And I like MVP by decision here, but I would love to see a knockout. And I will not forget anybody on the panel again for the show. Lucky.
Yeah, this is a great fight. A lot of MVP love all of a sudden. I always liked MVP in Bellator when everybody hated him. And everyone said, oh, he's a can crusher. He couldn't cut it in the UFC, this and that. It's like, okay, but he's a lot of fun. He's exciting. And like it or not, he is a really good striker. I picked him as a dog against Holland when a lot of people didn't like him. And now it's like people who thought Kevin Holland was going to beat him think he's going to beat Ian Gary. And Ian Gary's way better than Kevin Holland. And he's 10 years younger than MVP. Both of these guys are tall, long strikers. They're both light on their feet. I do think MVP is, going to get the stand-up fight that he wants. I do think his speed and his elusiveness can cause Gary problems. But this is an Ian Gary spot to me. In terms of raw ability, I think they are very close. Maybe even give MVP a little tip of the hat by 0.5% or something. But I think Gary's much younger, much fresher physically. He looks better to me. I think MVP looks a little soft these days. 37 years old, just physically the way he looked in his last fight. And, I think Gary is like at Shoot a Box in Brazil right now, getting some grappling work in. I think kind of the whole he's going to turn it into the ADCC trials is a little bit overblown in this one, but I think it could be, like you said, Aaron, kind of useful, like with a little bit of cage push here or there in the clinch, maybe look for some grappling at the end of a round. I just kind of think, the chance to bet MVP as a dog was last fight in a favorable matchup against Kevin Holland. I think it's gone now. The majority of people in Tapology too are picking MVP. And people were just picking Kevin Holland to beat this guy. And like Ian Gary would be like minus 300 against Kevin Holland. So I bet Ian Gary minus 125 here. I feel like he's probably good to like minus 150 in my opinion. I think he's a little bit past that on DraftKings and Bet Online now. So I wouldn't touch now. But yeah, minus 125 was good enough to get me involved here.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was hovering over the MVP bet for quite a while. I have not gone there for a lot of kind of the reasons why Lucky says it. No, Lucky's on that side. I don't really like going head-to-head with Lucky and when he takes a bet on any sort of a favorite, especially. So I'm gonna just go ahead and pass on my dog MVP, but I still got him by decision. 2 cents.
I'm with Lucky again, dude. I think this is an Ian Gary spot. I think the young eat the old here. And I think the difference between Gary and Holland is that, like Holland's fast, but I think Ian Gary's footwork's a lot better. And I think Ian Gary is going to try and prove that he's like the slicker, like better striker. So I think we're going to kind of see a glorified sparring match here. And I just think Gary is going to get the better work done. I'm with you, though, dude. Like, if he does want to wrestle and grapple, I think he can make it a little bit easier on himself. But I have a feeling that, he's the young whippersnapper. He's the young go hard. He's going to go out there and show that he's, I'm the future or whatever the fuck he says. And I think he could even like potentially rob MVP if it's close. I think if anybody is gonna, Ian Gary, whether you love him or hate him, he definitely like moves the needle. People like pay attention. They're like, fuck this dude. Or like, yeah, it's Ian Gary's season or whatever. So, I think, MVP's, he's fun, but he is a fucking can crusher. And like, you look at the people that he's beaten, like Lima is a good win, Holland's a good win, and that's about it. So, I think Ian Gary gets it done by decision, but not super duper confident, but I do have him in a parlay. So let's fucking go, Ian Machado.
Yeah. All right. Well, I believe that that takes us to Lou here. I've switched around the panel here so that Lou's face won't be covered up anymore.
Dude, I clicked the link like 5 seconds after you.
Whatever. It's just business, Lou. Go ahead with this fight.
So I had Holland against MVP because I'm like just an idiot who loves Kevin Holland. And like everything Holland does, Page just does so much better. Like he's faster, range control, like range management, all of it. Like everything Holland wants to do, Page just does better. Let's get one thing out of the way first. This whole Gary's going to grapple thing and that he has a huge grappling edge. Let's stop. Because first of all, there's a good chance he doesn't grapple at all. And second of all, Page's takedown defense is just way better than people give him credit for. Like Logan Storley taking him down doesn't mean Ian Gary's taking him down. Like at all. Holland was all about trying to take him down. Kevin Holland wanted nothing more to do on the feet and was going for takedowns. And like if he got one, Page has got a really good get-up game. So I just want to get that. Because I know a lot of people are playing the Gary sub. It got smashed. It's not for me. And I love plus 800 and above props. Ain't for me here. This is probably just a striking fight. And yes, and there's an ego part of it where it's just going to be who's the better boxer. I think this comes down to who has the bigger moments in this fight. Because I think both are going to throw a lot of volume. I think both are going to be clowning. I mean, I know Gary got caught by Kenan Song. And it was a bad look. But that's the only time, like, he's really been caught. And, like, he fought Jeff Neal, who is a terrifying man, and he neutralized him completely. It's a very impressive performance. I'm making sure I'm not confusing my I'm not doing what I do on my show and confusing my people here.
Nope. So far, so good. That was his last fight. He looked damn good in that one, Sting. So Gary's like still young. He's still improving.
And Jordan,
who do they really want?
Jordan Williams
who do they want to win this fight?
Yeah.
Like, are they trying to just like Page's time? Like Gary can lose here, and like it's okay. Like it's time to rebuild.
They want MVP to win this fight.
I would think so. 100%. I would because the window's closing.
Yeah, no, they'd be. I don't know if they. Hold on. Let me explain myself. They might not really have a side they want to win this fight. If MVP wins this fight, especially if he comes out and meme KOs Gary, they would. That is the number one scenario they would take of anything in this fight. Because even if he beats MVP and like subs him or KOs him in round one, it's like, okay, we can hype up Ian Gary, but it's still like, we can go back to the narrative about MVP being the best scenario for the UFC would be a round 1 mean KO of Ian Gary by MVP and then getting an MVP on the mic. That is the best scenario. I'm not saying it happens.
Probably.
I'm saying it's the best scenario. You disagree, Lucky? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think MVP, like, I don't think the UFC is like, oh, this guy's going to be a champ. I think he's like,
you would sell
going to be like, you know, do the Michael Chandler thing where it's like, it doesn't matter if he loses. He can have a losing record and they put him in a fun fight. They put him on a pay-per-view.
It's a win-win.
I think Ian Gary is the one that they want to actually move up the ladder.
Yeah, I think him knocking MVP out would be what they want to kind of steal MVP's, like do the little Highlander thing on him, because he does have a little bit of push, but he is also the older dude. Like Gary has way more upside in the future.
They don't care about age. The UFC does not make long-term decisions, dude. They would see the short-term way they
just
and Gary can rebound from a loss and still get to where they need him. I don't think Page.
It's a win-win. This is great matchmaking by the UFC because whichever way
my pick.
Yeah,
I'm going to give 2 picks: MVP to win, a very close split decision, because I think he's more likely in a fight of close margins to land 1 or 2 big shots to get a moment to swing really close rounds. Number 2, for this fight, since it's an Irish guy against a British guy, Aaron, I can't call it a yambag shot. But you know what we're getting here? A proper rogering. Somebody is getting properly rogered in this fight. I was going to save it for 304, be culturally appropriate, but they're hanging me a curveball here. Let's go. Somebody get kicked in the sack or rogered.
Yeah, minus 155 on Gary now, plus 130 to MVP. Yeah, no, it's an interesting fight for sure. Yeah, I would love to see MVP come through, even though I did not get through onto MVP betting window. Next fight here, I wonder if the coin will come out here, because I get it that this is on the main card. I get it. These are ranked bantamweight fighters. This fight's probably going to be at 140 or 142 or 148 or 140 or 150.
180.
180. Yeah, whatever. Or it's not going to happen. This is just I don't really understand. The line movement on this fight this week has been just preposterous. I assume that like Mayra Bueno Silva has like staph or something seriously wrong with her entire body, or people just believe in the Macy Chiasson resurgence. I mean, I don't know. I think that like Macy Chiasson's going to be a lot bigger because she's going to weigh like 6 pounds more than Mayra Bueno Silva. So like, I just think Mayra Bueno Silva is going to be physically outmatched here. And so Macy Chiasson either wins or this fight doesn't happen, and then I don't have to be exposed on being wrong on my pick. But if this fight happens and Chiasson comes in there at 150, like how's Mayra Bueno going to get her down? You know, I just think she's going to be too big. And Mayra Bueno Silva without Adderall, as Noah Allen pointed out, is not the same fighter. So I guess I'll be on Macy Chiasson. This movement has to be for something. So I'm just going to go with the movement here for once. I have no clue at all, nor do I have any clue where to start with this one. So we'll just start at the top with Lucky.
Yeah, I mean, Chiasson, I really don't think is particularly good. I bet on her against Aldana as an underdog, and she was literally about to win that fight. If she just didn't get up kicked to the liver while she was trying to get to top position. I really wasn't too pleased to see that happen. That was definitely a first for me in all my years watching UFC. And, you know, Bueno Silva for me too is teetering right on the edge of me doing my famous thing where I come on the show and say, I don't think she's good. She's right there. I'm not going to say it, but she's right there. And how can I say that when she was just fighting for a title in her last fight? Well, women's 135 is very, very shallow, probably the shallowest division in the organization. You know, these ladies, both the same age, almost the same amount of fights. Chiasson, big size advantage. like she pretty much always does. We'll see if she can do anything with it. Maybe she could get this fight down. I feel like Bueno Silva's probably a little better on the ground. I think she's a little more aggressive on the feet. It's not really a fight I have any type of strong conviction about. I think I favor Bueno Silva. She's been fighting the better competition. I think she has a little bit of an edge in a few areas. The line movement here, though, is just kind of like, whoa. Like, I don't really understand what precipitated that. Now, even still, that's not enough for me to get involved because I just don't want to. I don't want to have money on this. I don't want to be watching this fight, having money on it, and because that's just not something I'm in the business of doing. We'll say that. But, I guess I favor Bueno Silva. Line movement, definitely interesting here. I didn't think we'd be getting down to this price. So
it's a pick'em. Yeah, it's
somebody else in the panel can. Yeah, crazy.
It's a straight pick'em, and I'm not paying to find out with Mayra Bueno Silva if there's a reason why like this movement has happened. Like it's just not, that juice is not worth the squeeze at all.
Completely agree.
Yeah, Lou. How you feeling about this pick'em fight?
I bet the Silva sub at plus 340. I got a horrible number compared to most people, but she's one of the worst minute winners in the history of like any combat league ever. Like it is. And the thing is this, we'll see them on the scales when we could get like the rare double miss. I feel like that's like they'll agree to a certain weight and then still both miss weight.
Do they have the missed weight numbers up, or those are probably up later in the week, I assume?
I think it's possible they could agree to 140 and then both come in at like 143. Like I think that's so. Like if I could bet that, I would that they both miss.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the market came in so big on Chiasson here. Like I get it. She's coming off an impressive win. Silva's coming off like kind of a deflating loss. She was sick in that fight to Pennington. I don't think it would have mattered down the stretch. I trust Pennington's cardio a little more anyway, but Silva gassed out very early in that fight. So I think she probably would have looked at least a little better early. I think the finish probably would have been a little more alive. But either way, like that was just a horrible fight to watch and put me through. So what is Chiasson like doing? She likes clinching. She likes using her physicality. She likes putting herself in absolutely terrible spots. What is Silva like doing? She likes losing every second of the fight until somebody makes a mistake and she snatches a neck or an arm. Even against Holly Holm, she lost every minute of that fight until she didn't. Until the fight was just over and she won. I can very easily see that happening here, where Chiasson tries to clinch, tries to be bigger, tries to get her against the cage, tries to throw knees, and then just the next thing you know, out of nowhere, we need an instant replay to see how Silva ended up with like a flying toe hold or some shit and got the sub. So.
Yeah, no, would not surprise me at all.
So plus 340, I think I feel that's her money line. If this thing goes, if you want to play like the Silva score, like no scorecards bet, that's fine. I don't think Chiasson has finishing equity here. I don't. I think Silva's kind of like, he's pretty weirdly durable. But, for me, it's the sub. That's her money line. I've played it. I played it small. I'm not going to get crazy involved in this bullshit. But, I guess we have this fight on the main card so that we didn't have to have Bdet and Arlovski on the main card. Because, we get that one fight where it's like, what the fuck are we doing here, man?
Yeah, I guess. But the moment we've all been waiting for, 2 cents, is the coin coming out.
Boys,
it has to.
It is time.
Yes, sir.
Get ready to be disappointed. The coin is not coming out. It's too high level, and I've already made a pick. So, yeah, I hate to just womp, let you down, but I got to. I'd rather quit you than shit you, boys. This is not going to be a coin flip. But it's not a fight that I'm extremely convicted about. I just think Macy's going to win a decision. I think she is going to be bigger. I think this is going to be the snoozer of the night. But it's a pick'em, so I see why it's tempting for people to just like jump on a side because it's very enticing either way. But it's just too greasy. There's so many other spots to try your luck with. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna pick Macy. I just feel like she wins a lame ass like grappling, top heavy decision. Like I maybe a couple like scary moments with like Silva sub threats, but she, survives and lands a little ground and pound and ekes one out. But I do see it going the distance. I think a split either way is not terrible, but that's what I got. Macy by split.
All right, fair enough. A lot of Macy love on the table here, but we're gonna move on to the next fight. This one's a weird one. It came together like last second, light heavyweight. It morphed from Jamal Hill and Khalil Roundtree to Anthony Smith and Roman Dolidze. Has there ever been a more perfect metaphor of like what the UFC has morphed into over the last few years than kind of this? This is just a weird spot. Anthony Smith resurgence against Victor Vitor Petrino, obviously. I think that Roman Dolidze at 205 pounds, coming off 2 straight losses at 185, including the last one against Imavov, where he just didn't look all that great throughout that fight. Honestly, it's looking puffy. I'm starting to wonder if the PED use from earlier years is starting to kind of catch up with him a little bit. I don't really know why he's favored here against Anthony Smith, like necessarily. Like I don't want to like all of a sudden be like Anthony Smith is back, but I just think at the weight class this is at, and just I think the type of fighter Roman Dolidze is, I think that Anthony Smith could probably win a decision, but I'm not betting this ever. But yeah, I don't know. Like split. This is gonna be a split decision. This is gonna be a fight that ends in a split decision, and I'll take Anthony Smith to win a split decision here. God, this may be my least confident pick of the night. Lou,
this is your true Yambag fight of the night, by the way. This is just it checks the most important box, in that it has Roman Dolidze in it. So I'm not sure if you know this, but this is very important that this is at 205. I know Dolidze has fought at heavyweight before. He's fought at 205. Mm-hmm. So this fight being at 205 let's also mention that this fight literally has been cursed from the jump, that this whole fight was like 19 different fighters in it. This was Hill versus Olberg, and then it wasn't. So, and if Anthony Smith gets hurt tomorrow, they have to put Bogdan in here, right? Like we have to get Bogdan Guskov replacing Anthony Smith.
If either one of these guys get hurt, Bogdan's in.
I think you have to. I think he has to be ready. Lucky knows. Lucky's smiling. He knows. Dude, you got to get Guskov in there. You got to promote him on a main card. Look, so Georgia beat Portugal today 2-0. It's a massive game for them in the Euros. So I'm picking Roman Dolidze to win solely because just the country of Georgia is and Marab's been like killing it on his videos promoting Georgian soccer. So I'm just going to roll up the momentum of the country of Georgia. Go Bulldogs. Roman Dolidze to win here. There's your breakdown. Professionally done.
That's the best in the business. 2 cents, second best in the business. Go ahead.
See, that's how we work ourselves into a shoot, because Sting just stole my fucking Dolidze thunder. No, I'm with you though, Aaron. It's like my least confident pick, but I think Roman like squeaks one out. I think it's a split, but I don't know, man. It's just like you kind of said it. Like I'm not ready to say fucking Anthony Smith is back. Dude, cashing that plus 390 on Smith to beat fucking Vitor Petrino, that fraudulent motherfucker, like that was awesome. But like I just not like 2 in a row is going to the well necessarily, but I just don't want to push my luck with Anthony Smith. He could very well win this. I want nothing to do with it. But yeah, give me Roman Dolidze by greasy, nasty, grimy split. But yeah, pass.
I'm surprised at the pick, but all right, Lucky Locks, go ahead.
Yeah, Smith hot on the heels of the big upset win over Petrino. He is so back, guys. No, I think that win probably had more to do with Petrino being kind of incompetent than with Smith having a career resurgence. And listen, I don't say that as someone who's salty about a parlay losing, or I had no money on that fight at all. And if you bet Smith, nice job, because the line was crazy. You got rewarded. I know we had 2 people on this panel that picked Anthony Smith. Nice pick. I'm not salty about that. That's kind of what I saw. It was like, Petrino, I don't know what the hell that guy was doing. I think in 2024, Roman Dolidze is probably a better fighter than Anthony Smith. It's coming up in weight from 185 to 205. The fight was put together on relatively short notice for both guys. I honestly didn't expect the line to get this short, to be honest. I kind of thought everyone would just blindly fade Smith. And it seems like there are, a lot of people out there that actually like Smith. He's getting the majority of Tapology votes, or at least he was the last time I checked. And I'm not really in the Smith camp for this one. Surprise, surprise. I do think the worry for Dolidze here is the striking. The guy just isn't a good striker. Even still, I don't give Smith, a ton of finishing upside on the feet. I think I probably give Dolidze the durability edge. And I think he's, a fairly good athlete. I could see him getting the wrestling going here. Smith takedown defense is kind of meh to me. I think Dolidze actually might end up being the stronger guy as well, despite being up a weight class here. And, the thing for me is, like, Smith was plus 300 against Petrino, who, in my opinion, is about as good as Dolidze. I don't think those two are separated by an ocean of ability. And, Smith was plus 300 against one, and now he's like plus, 120 against another. I feel like it's probably a discount on Dolidze here. I'm not chomping at the bit to get involved, but the pricing is just a lot different than what I expected. And I'm not opposed to betting on Dolidze, later in the week, depending on what the market looks like. I'm going to pick Roman to win this fight.
All right. Anthony Smith Island here for me. No bet from me on this one. But, it's kind of crazy. Plus 115 to Anthony Smith at this point. Minus 135 to Mr. Dolidze, who has used the PEDs before and probably is using them again without USADA. Speaking of no USADA, Brian Ortega's back. And he's taking on Diego Lopez at 145 here. And I think this is a great fight. This is an awesome fight. Really excited for it. I did a long, hard research of all of Diego Lopez's UFC fights. Took me like all of 4.5 minutes or something to do. The kid's been fucking awesome, I'll be honest. Aside from the Evil fight, obviously, where that was probably the most impressed I might have been with him, even though obviously the 3 first-round finishes looked great. The way he especially started on that fight, I think if it wasn't on short notice, probably beats Evil in that spot, and that's no small task. Getting the second shot at the top 10, and he's going to a top 3 opponent in Brian Ortega. I don't really get the line. I don't understand. The wrong guy's favored here, straight up. And I think it's that simple. I think Brian Ortega is going to have to survive that first 3 minutes. I think he's going to get popped by Lopez early, but show me who's gotten Brian Ortega out of there in 1 round. No one is going to do that anytime soon. If Lopez does that, then I'm going to be so hard on the Lopez bandwagon. It's not even funny. Brian Ortega impressed the fuck out of me in that last fight. I've never been a huge Ortega guy until the Volkanovski fight, honestly. And after that fight, I definitely realized I'd kind of been underrating him a lot. Got to see that fight live against Volkanovski. I still don't know how Volkanovski got out of those submissions. He should be at least a former champion. And I get it. Brian Ortega was thinking about going up to 155. He's not up at 155. He's at 145. So I'll be interested to see how he comes in there. But I think this is too much too soon and on short notice for Diego Lopez. I think that outside of an early first round barrage, which is how he's been getting it done against guys like Gavin Tucker, guys like Pat Sabatini, guys like Sadiq Youssef, I think Brian Ortega is much, much better than those guys. I'm all over Ortega this week. And if Lopez goes in there and murders him, especially in round 1 or at any point in this fight, then, Lopez is way better than I realized. But I think that Ortega at plus 130 is kind of insane. So I like Ortega. And, I think that he definitely will wrestle in this fight also at times. This fight exclusively taking place on the feet is kind of a pipe dream of, I think, Lopez players. But Lopez, game on the ground, he's game everywhere too. And if he wins this fight, I'll be the first to admit I am wrong, but I like Brian Ortega here. I took him at plus 130. Yeah, I'm excited to see this one as it goes. I'll probably take him live, especially if he gets beat up in round 1. Lou.
So I know like there's an argument to be made against the Lope side in that Sabatini, I'm a Sabatini guy, obviously being a Philly guy. Sabatini has no striking defense. Sabatini seems to be chinny. Lopes ran him over. Gavin Tucker is old. Got it. Yusuf, kind of chinny. So, but here's the thing. He did his job, and he did it in incredibly explosive fashion. He just went out there and annihilated people. So you can't hold it against him that he's like literally just wrecking fools. Like these aren't close decision wins where he's a minus 300 favorite. He's annihilating people.
Mm-hmm.
The preferred bet for me is a live bet on Ortega after 1. Ortega historically is just a slow starter, even in 3-round fights. Like I know the Yair fight was 5 rounds. He's got his ass kicked. Like he takes a while to warm up. He's worked on his boxing a lot more. So I think a lot of it for him is getting the reads, timing his boxing. He does take shots. He takes damage. His striking defense still is not great. And he's been able to be pretty durable at this point. So here's where I may get some flack from you guys, but because I don't think this is an easy question. I don't know. I think Lopes hits slightly harder than Yair Rodriguez. He doesn't have the arsenal of attacks. He doesn't have the kicks at all. But I think just straight power punch, Lopes probably a little stronger puncher than Yair.
Completely agree.
So Yair was wailing Ortega and almost got him out of there and didn't.
Yep.
I feel like if Lopes lands the same amount of volume on Ortega, he will, in fact, probably get him out. Like, do I want to stand against this guy at this point? But of note, Lopes is 6-6 in fights that have gotten out of the first round.
Correct.
So I think the live bet on Ortega, you're going to probably get plus 350. You might get more if he takes a lot of damage. Yair is absolutely the better striker. 100% is the better striker and more diverse striker. I just worry now. We're getting to the point with Ortega. It's like the law of diminishing returns to this chin, man. Like, I do think Lopes probably KOs him in the first. And this is coming from somebody who bet Sabatini, who bet Gavin Tucker, and who bet Yusuf. So, like, I've been trying to fade this guy, and I think I'm just fucking done with it. Like, I'm going to pick Lopes to win, but I think if you take Lopes round 1, round 2 KO, or like a same game parlay under 1.5, like if you can get a really good plus number on Lopes, you'll be able to get plus 300 on Ortega live and end up getting like kind of a nice way out of it. So I think that's probably the way to play the fight.
Yeah, no, I think this is a fascinating
Great fight, by the way. Great fight.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really excited. 2 cents. What's your thoughts on this one?
Dude, I this is like weirding me out how much we're like agreeing on this. Like, well, not in some ways. Like everything Lou just said about Lopes or Lopez, however the fuck you pronounce that name, is true. Like, he cracks. And given the fact that it's short notice, he probably gonna go out there and try and get him up out of there. And he could definitely do it. I think it's weird, man, because it feels like Ortega should be the favorite as having the more experience. I guess I get why Diego is favored, given, I guess, the recency bias and the fact that he's on this hot streak. But it's a great fight, but I feel like it's going to be a fight where one of them, I don't think it's going to be close. I'm on Ortega. I did something really fucking stupid and threw an underdog in the parlay like that. I don't know, man. Aaron is the one that's good at this, not me. So I put Ortega in a parlay that has Ricky Simone and Charles Jourdain. So it's a 3-legger. I think it's like plus 488. But I think it's just like those other two. I think Ortega is the better fighter. But I think he's going to have to weather a storm. But if Lopez wins, I think it is going to be by knockout. And so, like, one of them is going to look like way better here. I think it's going to be Ortega. I think the rubber meets the road, but is a damn good fight. Like, there's a lot of really good fights on this card. So
I'm not a big draw better, but I would consider a little sprinkle on the draw in this spot.
I don't hate that.
Like, this is
shout out Moist Audio.
Yep, shout out to the Moist draw. All right, locks. Did you go this pick? I don't even remember at this point.
Yeah, I haven't yet. Ortega and Lopez are both getting right back in there after picking up wins inside the distance in their last fights. I did bet on Brian Ortega as a dog in his last one. Made me some money there. Lopez is surging right now in the weight class. Ortega kind of looking to hold on to his position inside the title picture and, go up to 155, I guess, presumably, like he was saying he wanted to do. I think Lopes lost to Movsar Evloev is a little bit overrated. I mean, he was outstruck clearly. It was closer to 2.5 to 1 than to 2 to 1, actually. And at distance, clearly, not just on the ground. And, if we do want to talk about the ground, he was controlled for, more than half of that fight. And he was taken down every single round. Now, listen, it was short notice. It wasn't a bad performance by any means. But in my opinion, it wasn't a super close fight. I think it was just closer than people thought it would be. I didn't think there was an argument he could have won. I don't think he would be the favorite in the rematch. I don't think he would win in a rematch. No. But that said, he fought Movsar Evloev on a couple days' notice and made a good account of himself. The fight before that lost to Brito. Brito was taking him down at will. And now in both of these fights, he was dangerous off his back, but he didn't get these guys. And I don't think he's going to get Ortega in a sub. He has rattled off 3 great round 1 finishes in a row since then. He's very good. I'm just not seeing where he's clearly better than Brian Ortega. I think the grappling is probably a wash. Striking wise, statistically he lands less volume. Statistically he has worse defense. And people are excited about him saying, "Oh, he's only lost to Evloev." And listen, for the record, I think Evloev probably beats Ortega too. But Lopez also lost to Brito. And after he lost to Brito, he was on Fury FC on the regionals. He lost to Nate Richardson. And Nate Richardson is a kickboxer. It's not like that was some wrestler that got him down. He's a kickboxer. He should take him down and sub him. That's what he's supposed to do, right? And Ortega has only lost to Yair on an injury, who he beat in the next fight, and then 2 of the 3 best featherweights of all time, right? That's it. So, Lopez has, never landed a takedown in the UFC. I'm just not really seeing where I'm supposed to be finding any sort of confidence in Lopez at a 60% number. I think Ortega has underrated boxing. He seems pretty durable. I think the grappling is probably a wash in my opinion. And I think Ortega has the better wrestling in my estimation. So I think Ortega's the side. I haven't bet anything here. Not sure if I will, just because, I just bet on Ortega as the dog and won. He's back here as the dog again. He did take some decent damage in that last one, short turnaround. He's older. So, I don't really know if I'm going to get there, but I do think he's the side at the number.
Yeah. I like Ortega a lot, and I feel the wrong guy is favored here, and this is just one of these spots. I'm not surprised to sense that you put him into that parlay. We talk about these spots all the time where the wrong guy is favored, and the UFC puts these younger guys, puts the up-and-coming guys against the kind of old guard to kind of test them out. Over and over again, it's happened where the old guard is shown through here, and the old guard is 33 in this spot.
Fuck yeah, dude! You inspired me this week, man. I had to make a little mini version this time.
Yeah, no, it was the first spot I saw on the week. So yeah, Brian Ortega, and I wouldn't be surprised that I'm not sure if I'll bet the round 3 sub, but I'll think about it. So we'll see.
What is? Do we know what it is?
I don't know. It's got to be. I bet it will be pretty massive.
I'm looking it up right now for you. It is. Oh my God! I thought they were going to give us 10 to 1, 18 to 1, man.
Lovely. There we go. Round 3 sub. Brian Ortega, 18 to 1.
I do like that draw look too, by the way.
And the draw.
The draw is live in the first. That's a good look.
Yeah, it definitely is. The last 2 fights of the night, these are great fights. I'll watch Alex Pereira and Jiří Procházka fight 900 times if I have to. That's fine with me, but this is the second between the 2 of them, and the Jiří love is high. It's nearly a pick'em coming into the breakdown tonight. I think it's at plus 115 now. Definitely was having success in the first fight. Got Alex Pereira down at a certain point, which to me is that's what you should do more of here. The better MMA fighter is still Jiří Procházka. in this spot. And, he rebounded against Rakic pretty well. And then Pereira, like, he looked good enough against Jamal Hill, I guess. Like, he was always going to beat Jamal Hill. I love that spot for him. And here I've just kind of had a weird Jerry feeling, which it seems like the rest of the betting community also seems to have. But he was having a lot of success early in that fight, and I do think he can replicate a lot of it. And mixing up the takedowns, proving you're the better MMA fighter, Jerry should go in there and beat Alex Pereira. He should have the first time too. And the stoppage was what it was, but didn't like blow me away there. And yeah, I think Jerry evens up this one. We're going to see a trilogy here. So Jiří Procházka, and I'll say by, let's say, like, I don't know, round 3 KO. Why not? 2 cents.
I had the same kind of Jiří feeling earlier this week. I bet him at plus 136. I think it's a knockout. I think it's a second round knockout, though. I think he hits him with the right hand. Pereira's been susceptible to that throughout his career. That's how Izzy knocked him out. It's what he clipped him with, and I think he might have followed up with a left hook. But and it's what Jiří just hurt Rakic with, or Rakic or whatever. It's probably his most dangerous weapon. It's what sparked Volkan out cold. And yeah, I think he catches Pereira. It's not something that I have like a super. Like, it's not the most confident fucking underdog bet I've ever made, but I just got a feeling. I got a feeling he clips him, and yeah, we get the trilogy. But it does worry me that everyone seems to be on Jiří now, and people got to be parlaying Pereira, though, right? Like the line, what's the line now? Anybody that can
minus 135.
Minus 135. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's like it hasn't moved like a ton. A little money's come in on Jiří, obviously, but
yeah, Jiří's down to plus 115.
Yeah, so some money's coming on Jiří. But yeah, that's usually not like the best sign for your boy. I'm usually the reverse CLV king, but yeah, give me Jiří, and let's get that fucking trilogy.
All right. We got 2 on Jiří. Lucky, who are you on?
Rematch of the 295 main event here. Pereira won that one by knockout in round 2. Jiří unanimously won the first round on all the scorecards, was performing well in the second round. Ultimately succumbed to that famous Peloton power like many before him. And, the problem with Jiří is that he doesn't really care much for defending strikes. And that tends to pose a problem against Alex Pereira. Problem with Pereira is I just really have a hard time backing this guy as a favorite in high-level UFC fights. The skill set just isn't really fleshed out enough for me to look at 100 iterations of a fight between Pereira and the top fighters in the world and say, yeah, I'm comfortable, backing this guy to win like 60, 65% of the time. I know the lines come in a little bit, but that dichotomy is kind of what makes him so fun. Like, you have a guy that has 12 MMA fights, even less in the UFC, right? He's 36 years old, so he's probably not in his absolute athletic prime. He's basically learning wrestling and grappling as he goes along, which is arguably the most important aspect of MMA, although we're kind of starting to see the tides begin to turn in that regard a little bit. And despite all that, he's 7-1 in the UFC. He's beaten 5 fighters who were former, present, or future champions, and has won belts in 2 different weight classes. Like, it's insane. It's truly insane. And I'm glad that I've, gotten to see it. I enjoy it every time I get to watch this guy compete. And, there's an argument to be made that he's the face of the UFC right now. He seems like he's the guy on all the big cards. He's saving all these events. And, he delivers a highlight every time. But I just find it, like I said, I find it really hard to back this guy as a favorite. It's hard for me to back a lose until you win type style at that number, especially in a volatile matchup like this one. And, Pereira can be KO'd. Jiří can be KO'd too. I'm pretty sure this one's not going the distance. But if it did, I feel like Jiří probably has the minute-winning upside. If it doesn't, they're both live to get a KO on the feet. I feel like only Jiří has the ability to mix in the takedowns from what I've seen. So, with the dog price, I have to lean the Jiří Procházka side. But, like you guys have said, it seems like a lot of people feel that way. So, I don't know. I'm a little nervous. I haven't bet anything here yet. I'm kind of tiptoeing around, Procházka and Ortega. I feel like we're probably going to get one of these 2 dogs, man. on this card. So we'll see how it shakes out. I got to lean slightly to Jiří here.
Yeah, I'm ending 303 with a couple dog shots. Lou, what's your thoughts?
How the fuck are we going to be unanimous on this? Really? Like, I am like the biggest Jiří fan ever. Like, that's just, like Nick said in chat, he is definitely like our Viking space lord samurai that like, does he have striking defense? No. Does he get his leg chewed up? Yes. Do I care? Not at all. Here's a different angle that has not been mentioned. You hear this phrase a lot. Rematches never go the way the first fight went. Why is that? People just like to spout the same bullshit. There's an actual reason for this. The only thing Jiří Procházka has been thinking about since he lost, I mean, I know he had a fight. I know he fought Rakic. All he cares about is how to win the title. All he's been doing since that loss, since probably the day after that loss, is game planning and watching tape and obsessing as to how he lost that fight, especially when he won a round. How did I lose that fight? What can I do different? He hasn't been in Pereira's purview since. He's like, dude, I vanquished him. Next, like moving on. Pereira's thinking about moving a heavyweight. Jiří hasn't been on his window. And this is a short notice fight to boot. The short notice 1,000,000% favors Jiří Procházka here. He's already had a game plan for him. And he's probably just, he's a stay ready guy. The guy's in like the fucking woods doing like, I don't know what the hell he does. And I don't need to know. He just does his thing. And it's great. He puts out videos that are just really weird. And I'm here for it. I think I don't want to give a round, but, and I get it. Like if you have the Pereira side here, I completely understand. He's going to have the leg kicks there all day. Mm-hmm. He already knocked him out. I completely understand it. Jiří's my guy, dude. But I really think the rematch and the short notice completely favors him here. It's a great angle for him. And give me Procházka. What'd you guys say? Round 2 and round 3?
I said round 3.
Yeah, I got round 2.
Well, then I'll say fuck this. Fuck this. Round 5. Let's go. Be the second time he wins the title in round 5. Let's go.
I love it. I love it. All right. We are to the only point in the show that I will timestamp, which is the Zhang Ali parlay, and we're going to finish up here with that. And good news, the Zhang Ali parlay is over plus 1,200 this week. It's at plus 65. Bad news is it did end up having Martin Booty in it. So it is what it is. We are just taking the 5 money lines that we want, or that I want, I should say. The Zhang Li's hit 5 times this year, so we are well into a profit if you've been following us, including last week. So starting off, we do have Martin Booty in the Zhang Li. So if he blows it right away, I apologize to everybody, but is what it is. Jillian, obviously, in the parlay, as well as Joe Pfeiffer. And then we are ending with my 2 dogs. We're ending with Ortega and Jerry. Not 1, but 2 are coming in at UFC 303. So we are cashing a plus 1265 parlay if you want to throw on 25 with me. If you want to throw on 5 with me. If you want to throw it on 10. I don't care what you do, but tail the Zhang Li parlay with me. Lucky, any bets you have so far, or anything you'd like to plug before we say good night?
Yeah, well, you guys know where to find me. The @ right there for Twitter, and then my BetMMA is in the bio of that. So bets on this card, I have Ian Gary minus 125. I have a bet for PFL, Gabriel Braga. I had him minus 150. That line's kind of out there now, but what can you do? And then I have a bet on ACA in the main event. I have Ali Bagov to win the rematch against Shekaev. I know a lot of people like Shekaev. But he won a split decision last time. I think Bagov has the ability to wrestle him. Shekaev's also coming in a short notice, so I played him at minus 108. I see that at like -114 at Bet Online, -110 at Bovada. So that's kind of still around the same price if you want to tail that. And that's what I have this week. Thanks for having me on as always. It was a blast to talk with you guys. Great card. Looking forward to it on Saturday. And yeah, have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, great show, and appreciate those shouts as always. 2 cents. Well, you got the rest of the week. Thank you as always for being here. I'm glad we were all able to kiss and make up after that contentious start.
Oh yeah, I mean that's kind of how I am with all my friends. I get very angry, and then we yeah, like you said, we kiss and make up. So shout out to all you guys, my WWE panel rival, and Lucky, Aaron, everyone in the chat, man. Best of luck to everybody. I'm excited for this card, man. Great fights and a lot of good spots to bet. So yeah, let's all get fucking rich. And the next time you can find me will be on my channel. I'm gonna be doing my pregame thing. I think I just set the broadcast for 3:30. So y'all come through if you want the panel. Let me know. And yeah, we can talk some shit before the fights. Get hyped for a pretty fucking good card. And yeah, let's go, Jiří. And yeah, best of luck, everybody. Aaron, thank you again. Y'all smash the like button for Aaron and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And yeah, catch you next time. Thanks again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 30 plus in the building for a lot of this breakdown. Appreciate y'all, and appreciate everybody on the panel, including you, Lou. You got props to consider coming back. Well, so what's going on?
Well, Lucky undersold it. He loves to be hit up for bare knuckle fight picks on Twitter. So just make sure you at him relentlessly asking for bare knuckle picks. That's his thing. He undersold it. God, Lucky, what did you do before you met this old chunk of coal? Bringing back props to consider and then maybe bet. It's back permanently. But this is the last one ever on the MMA Engine. Brandon Olivas will be joining me tomorrow at noon. And then the usual happy hour show at midnight. The final show, sort of, on the MMA Engine. Why? Watch the first 10 minutes of happy hour. All will be explained, including what Monk and I are doing next. We're not going away, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. And neither are we. We will be back next week because the UFC just never stops churning out quality. So thank you, everybody. Good luck this weekend. Extra special good luck to Jillian. I got a heavy bet on her and her by submission. So good luck to everybody. Good luck to your bets. And thank you to the panel. Peace out, everybody.